Right now we have a guest on the line, Sister Tracy. I'm calling from San Francisco, Andrew Goldfarb, a.k.a. the Slow Poisoner. Welcome to the Church of Rock.
Thanks, man. That's cool. So it's going to be two Andrews tonight as your guests.
That's right.
Stereo Andrew Phonics.
I had not thought about that fact.
Andrew and Andy.
That's funny, man. So are you currently in San Francisco?
Yeah, I am. I am taking a break from gigging and touring for about 6 weeks because I had to have a surgery on my finger. I developed trigger finger for the second time, which afflicts guitarists, acrobats, and gardeners. So it's healing currently, and then I'll be back out there. But yeah, so I've just been, I didn't even go outside today. I spent the whole day building a giant swan, kind of a menacing swan, sort of an evil swan.
Now, what's it made out of?
Foam core. It's either paper mache or foam core with me, but if you're familiar with foam core, it's kind of like cardboard, only a little thicker and a little lighter. And man, I have mastered the art of foam core building. I could make an entire house out of foam core if only the elements would permit it to stand.
Well, you've been mastering the art of being a one-man act. How long have you been doing that?
It's since 2005, so that's 13, almost 14 years. You know, I started out with a full band. It was actually a quintet back in the late 90s. And it was terrible. There were two cellos, and they would sort of feed back, and they would create like this like feedback loop between them, like the big wood bodies, you know, vibrating like they're going to explode. It was sort of a kind of a more Baroque sound at that point. But then, especially when I started playing out of town, it became much easier to do that with less individuals.
Yeah.
And also, keeping a band together is tough. I'm sure you're no stranger to band dynamics. And I just didn't really have the type of sympathetic mentality, especially when touring. You know, if people would want to do something silly like sleep or eat, that just wasn't really where I was at. So.
See, you know, whenever we tour, I get that way about peeing. People are like, I'm going to stop and pee. It's like, we just stopped 15 minutes ago. Here's a bottle, and you're going to pee in the bottle, or you're not going to pee at all. And that's how we do it. We just don't stop, man, you know?
Yeah, that can also, like, for me, it can help pass the time, like seeing how long you can hold it, and, like, whether you'll make it to a truck stop or not. I'm that way with gas sometimes too. Like, I'll see if I can time it so like the gas gets as low as possible. Because if you're doing like an 8-hour stretch, you know, getting to the next gig, it can get pretty, you know, monotonous. But yeah, so, you know, experimenting with the capacity of your bladder is one way to pass the time.
And it's,
so
you know,
it whittled down the band. I made that first record as a quintet. That was the Slow Poisoners is actually what it was then. It was plural because I had a band.
Interesting.
And over the course of about 8 years or so, it got down to a duo. And the duo thing was cool, but I also sort of felt like having kind of like an eccentric musical vision, it's easier to realize it on my own. Like, like today, building a giant menacing swan. I'm not sure any other musicians I'd be playing with would really understand why that would be happening and whether they'd really want a big menacing swan made out of foam core on stage.
Well, let me ask you this. I've seen you perform more than a few times. I'm a fan. How did you, I know you're attracted to like really weird things and, you know, and it's just like a natural arena for you to be different. And how, have you been that way your whole life?
Yeah, I think so. You know, it's interesting, like the stuff, it's almost like the template was there for me since the very beginning. Maybe it's that way with most of us, but this is not the first giant bird I've built. Like as I'm doing it, I realized that I did this when I was 19. I had a big goose that I used to wheel around on a wheelbarrow. And probably prior to that, I was doing it as well. I probably just don't remember, you know, so it's like in your DNA for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And then musically, I was always attracted to sort of flamboyant showmanship and quirky music. My first real recollection of being struck by rock and roll was watching on TV, or maybe it was in the theaters. There was this movie called American Hot Wax.
Oh, yeah.
It was about Alan Freed. And in that film, Screaming Jay Hawkins is in there, I believe.
I remember,
But
yeah.
what really struck me as a little kid was Jerry Lee Lewis. And I'm pretty sure he sets fire to his piano doing Great Balls of Fire. And he continues playing while it's on fire. I think that's in that movie.
It was a spiritual moment, man.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. And so that, I think, was sort of like what got the ball rolling for me, you know?
Oh, yeah. Sister Tracy and I are big fans of The Killer. We often talk about Jerry Lee and how his, hair would be flying in front of his face and he was sweating and he's like destroying the piano. And it's like, if there's the devil in music, there he is, man. That guy's got the power to destroy, and to destroy your heart with rock and roll,
Yeah, and he has survived.
Gosh.
So there might be some sort of pact going on. Who knows?
Yeah.
Of all of them to last the longest, you would not think that Jerry Lee Lewis would be the one, but he's still there.
That's right, man.
I checked out his place down on Beale Street. He has a nightclub down on Beale Street in Memphis. Oh, was it a year or so?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he wasn't, playing or anything while I was there, but it's cool that Jerry Lee's got a place down on Beale where a lot of, basically the birthplace of rock and roll. So it's pretty cool. Just a few blocks from
I have a question.
Sun Studio.
Was the food killer?
Jeez.
That's what I remember about Beale Street. I've only been there once. I actually recorded at Sun Studio.
Oh, awesome.
Had a trio. I don't know if they still do it, but you used to be able to go in and record there for like a reasonable price in the middle of the night because they would do the tours of Sam Phillips' Memphis recording studio, the old one, during the day, and then at night they would actually do recording. I'm not sure if that's still a deal, but
well, they did last year.
Cool.
They did last year.
Right
They were still doing that. I took my dad to Sun Studio because he had never been there, and so we went and checked it out and took him on the tour. And the guide kind of mentioned, that people still record at Sun, which I thought, why would anyone not record at Sun Studio?
Oh, yeah.
Well, Tracy, next time you go there, you tell the guide that he needs to put it in his spiel when he's doing the tours. The Slow Poisoner recorded here.
I will do that. I would promise to do that.
You must. Hey, Slow Poisoner, I've got a couple of questions for you. How did you start your tradition of playing every Halloween in Medford, doing a show at the Pirate Punk's house and then at Johnny B's, 2 shows in one night? I know you've done that for several Halloweens. How has that become a tradition for you?
Well, that's, it's kind of one of my more reliable stops to get a gig is in Medford. And I've always really enjoyed playing in Medford. It seems like there's a real open-mindedness about music there. Like in a city like San Francisco, I wouldn't wind up on a bill with noise bands or metal bands because the scenes are so very segmented here. And I've noticed that in a lot of big cities. But when I've played at Johnny B's or played at the Pirate Punk's house, I'm often on a bill with like really eclectic collection of acts and people are into it. It's not like people just come for their sound and then split. And I always thought that was really cool. It's also, being in San Francisco, it's within shouting distance, just up the 5.
Awesome.
But, I've always just thought it was a really cool scene there. I started playing at Johnny B's in his earlier location, and I got turned on to him by my friend, the Voodoo Organist.
I know him.
Are you familiar with the Voodoo Organist?
I certainly am, down there in the desert, man.
Yeah, he runs a shop called Hoodoo now,
Yeah.
but he used to be a touring animal, and he would travel all over the place, and Medford and Johnny B's were one of his frequent stops.
Yeah, we aren't. I don't know him like I know you, but I've been to his shop, and I'm familiar with him. We went down to the Joshua Tree Desert and explored a while, and kind of ran into him, and saw him up here. So yeah, it's a small world, I guess. We have to get going soon. I wanted to ask you another question before we actually slip into some of your tunes that we're going to play on the show tonight. You are friends with a mutual friend of ours who's very much tied up with this radio station, and that's a guy that's listening right now, Carson Bench.
Oh, yeah. Carson and I go way back. He used to be booking shows a little bit north of here in San Francisco, up in Marin. in Fairfax, California. He had a bar that he was booking, and also a weird old bar room called the Point Reyes Saloon, which I remember had a hole in the bathroom floor.
Wow.
Okay.
But really one of these old rough and tumble kind of places, hadn't been changed or refurbished since, 1862 or whatever.
I heard of a hole in the wall before, but that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Hole in the floor.
Down to the dirt. Well, I guess if the stalls are occupied, you could just use the hole.
It was a really psychedelic glory hole. God.
Right, for the creatures of the earth.
I guess so. Ooh.
That's a whole movie.
Merry Krampus. Merry Krampus.
Absolutely. But yeah, so that's when we first met, and then we stayed in touch, and he came up there. Are you guys in the KSKQ studio right now as we speak?
We are. It's a live show, absolutely live.
Do you still have that weird bathroom that's like sort of outside down the hall? It's
like catty corner from this building.
Yeah, it gives me the creeps, and I have to have someone go wait outside the door if I go. Yeah, we saw that.
Right.
No,
right.
it's great.
It's a very memorable bathroom for that reason. That's the first thing I picture when I'm picturing the KSKQ studios.
Well, I knew that having you on the show would be a really fun chat, and we've actually gone over the limit for our time for tonight's interview, which is good. That means we enjoyed it. You've been a fun guy to talk to. I always enjoy seeing you, bro, and seeing your posts on Facebook, and I love your music. And we're going to do one of the songs that you're most known for, as far as I'm concerned. This is one that when I see you, I always expect to hear it, and it's a classic, and it's called Hot Rod Worm. I love this song.
All right. It's an instructional tale. I experienced it so that the listener doesn't have to.
That's so awesome. Well, Andrew, a.k.a. Slow Poisoner, thanks a million for taking the time to be on the Church of Rock tonight.
Yeah, thanks so much.
And
my pleasure. It was great to be your guest.
Well, we'll do it again down the road, my brother, and you have yourself a swell evening.
Cool, man.
Thanks, my friend.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Well, there you have it, man. The Slow Poisoner. I love that guy.
Yeah, he's a pretty cool cat. And then everyone's anxious to hear this this tune by the Slow Poisoner called Hot Rod Worm. Let's do it. KSKQ, Church of Rock.
Highway 29, just outside of Creston. I was on my way to Buttonwillow, hauling a load of casket handles and chicken feed. I happened to glance in my rear view mirror and I spot this big cloud of dust coming up fast behind me. It was a souped-up jalopy, a Ford Model Bucket T. But it's what I saw in the driver's seat that had me checking my eyelids for pinholes. 'Cause behind the wheel of that automobile was nothing but a big brown worm. A non-arthropod invertebrate. He didn't have a foot to brake with or an arm to steer, but he sure could lay on the gas. It was a hot rod worm. It was a hot rod worm. Yeah! At first I figured I was just suffering from a bad case of white line fever. But then at about 100 miles per hour, that monster skidded around me. Just about blew my 18 wheels clear off the road. So I lean out my window and I scream, "Hey, you crazy critter! You keep snaking around like that and we'll both be headed for the meat wagon." Well, that big old ugly slimy thing just gave me this eerie sort of smile and kind of curled up, flopped his tail down on the steering wheel and gave his heap a 180. Next thing I know, this freak is dropping the hammer down and we are headed for a fender bender of cataclysmic proportion. Me and a hot rod worm. this larva is coming straight at me, playing some twisted game of chicken. But I ain't swerving for no grub, so I just power up and stand on it. And before I get flung from my seat, I run my Mack truck straight through that creep. Through the smoke and the glass, I can see that I sliced that damn worm and his motor car in half. But much to my consternation, he is still riding high. Only now there's two of him. His front half is cruising on a two-wheel steering suspension and a V8 engine in one lane. And in the other, his back half is regenerating on top of the trunk, riding the rear two tires straight to hell. Scientists call this mitosis. But I give up, man. I'm gonna get me a job as a shoe salesman.